FTP. FTP is file transfer protocol, and it is used to do transfer files. So FTP is a protocol to do the transfer files from one machine to other machine, and FTP uses client server architecture to do the file transfer. That means we have one machine as a server which stores all the files, and other machines as a client which download and upload files from that server. And also FTP uses password authentication to verify the client. So when client wants to access the server, they have to provide the username and password. Those username and password we create on server. Those username and password which we create server. So FTP server uses simple client server architecture to do the file transfer. So one server will be a server, one machine will act as a server, and other machines will act as a client. So all the machines, all the client machine, they can do download and upload the files from that server. So any server we want to configure in Linux, so first we have to see that packages must be installed. So there are some important things which we have to check, like this FTP server if we want to configure, so we require the packages to be installed for the server. So the package which we required for this FTP server to be configured is VSFTPD.
Excuse me, sir.
If we want to configure the FTP server in our Linux, so we require VSFTPD package to be installed first. So the required packages,
Sir, can you hear me?
package name is VSFTPD. So this package we need. Required packages for FTP server is VSFTPD. So first we have to see that whether the package is installed or not. So for checking the package, we will run this command rpm-q, and then we will mention the package name. Now this time the package name is VSFTPD. This will show what? This will show package name and detail. Name we can say, only name with the version. So if it is not showing the name and version, that means it is not. If it is not installed, then it will say it is not installed. Or if it is installed, then we can say it will show me that package name. Or if we are having a yum server, if we are already having or configured the yum server, then we can use yum command. Yum list and the package name, or we can use also yum info, or we can use yum info also. Yum info and the package name. So it will show detail of package, whether it is installed or not installed. Now in case If it is installed, then it is okay. Now we install, when we install the system, then at that time we have option to choose lots of packages. We have option to choose lots of packages to install. So if you have installed the system with the GUI method, then you will get the option to select lots of extra packages. So if you have selected those packages, then maybe your packages are already installed. And if in case it is not installed, then you should know that which package is required for which server. So for every server you have to know that what packages are required, and you have to check that whether the package is already installed or not. So this is how you will check that package is installed or not. Now if the package is installed, it is okay. So then it is okay, or we have to install it. Now if it is not installed, then we have to install it. So for installing the package, what we need, so if we are using it in RPM, then we will use RPM IVH command, I for the install, and then we will mention the path where the package is located, and in that we will mention the package name. Now name with all the version and all that, and with .rpm file with all the names and then everything, like whatever .rpm. So just like that. Or if we have configured the yum server, then we will use yum install and bsft ed. So if we have if we are using it RPM, then we will use RPM-IVH command, or if we are using yum, then we can use yum install to install the package. Now let's see in our system, is it installed or not. So RPM-Q VSFTPD. It is installed. It is showing that it is already installed, because when I install the system, I choose lots of packages, and with those packages, this FTP is also there. So it is installed. Now if you want to check yum, so I have a yum also configured. So it is also showing that it is installed, or either we can run yum info command also. Yum info will show you more detail. In yum info it shows more detail, that package name, and it says that it is installed package name and all these, and it is showing that it is installed from this repo. So it is already installed, and if it is not installed, then I would have run this command RPM-IVH, and the path for the file, like it is under the DVD. So now the CD is not mounted. Okay, the CD is not mounted, so it must be mounted first. Let me check it is mounted or not. So my DVD is not mounted, so it must be mounted first. So I will mount first here my DVD. It is not connected. Okay, so DVD is inserted and it is now available, and it is mounted here. So I will run the command rpm-ivh for installing it, and it is available in run media. And in this location, and listen, and you can see I'm giving the whole path, and then I'm giving the name. Now it will say it will not install because it is already installed. It says it is already installed, and even if I use yum, it will say already installed. Installed. So yum is also saying that it is already installed, nothing to do. So in case if it is not installed, then we can use rpm or yum. Now the difference between rpm and yum is what? In rpm you have to resolve the dependencies one by one, and if you are using yum, then it will automatically resolve the dependency and it will install with all the dependencies. After fulfilling the package requirement, for configuring any server, we should know that what are the important files of this server. So we should know that what are the important files of the server. Important. So before configuring the FTP server, you should know what are the important files of FTP server or any server. If I want to configure any server, then I should know that what are the important files of that server. Now for checking the important files, what we'll do to check, we can say important, or we can say all the files. We will run command rpm-ql and then the package name. It will do what? It will list all the files which comes with this server package or this package. So it will do what? It will list all the files and directories which comes with package. So all the files and directories which comes with this package, it shows all those things. Let's see what are the files and directories we have. So we have command rpm-ql and vsftpd, the package name, and these are the all files we have. Now in these all files, what is important here? So first, under etc directory, we have all the configuration files. These are all configuration files, but this is the main configuration file we have. This file is important for configuring FTP server. That means if any configuration we want to do in FTP server, we can do it on this file. Then next thing is what? Under user lib systemd system, in this directory, we know that all the services and targets files units are there. So for FTP server, to run the FTP server, we require the service. For any server to run, we have a service for it. So when we run any server, it requires a service for run the server. So all the services files or target units and service units is stored in this directory. So for running the FTP server, we have a service for that, FTP, and that is located under this directory, and the name of that service file is vsftpd.service. So this is the service file, and we have to know that what is the service name. So this is the service name. Then we have some documentation files here. Documentations are related to example files, readme, and all the other things like man pages also. Like if you want to know how you can configure the config file, main configuration file, so for that you have man page. for there is a command vs ftpd, then you have a man page for it. Then it created one more directory under var. It created this ftp directory. Now this directory is the default database directory for FTP server. That means if you want to store any file for the users, then you can keep those files under this directory. This directory is for the default database directory. And under that directory, it created this pub directory. This pub directory basically is for anonymous user. And we can say it is also a default database directory under this FTP directory. So these are the important files we have. So these are the important files. First one is the main configuration file, which is under etc. Under etc it creates the directory vsftpd, and in that directory we have other configuration files also, but this is the main configuration file, which is vsftpd.conf. Then you have the services file in this user lib systemd system directory, which is vsftpd.service. Then you have the directory created by the ftp package, and that is what var ftp. Under var directory it creates the ftp directory, and this is the default database directory for the service. That means you want to store the files for the user, so you can store it in this default database directory. So now we know what is the package name and which package we have to install for the server, and we know what are the important files are there. Now we can do what? We can configure the server. Now for configuring the server or for starting the server, we have already installed the packages. Now for starting the server, so now we can do what? We can start the server. We can start the FTP server. So for starting the server, what we do? We have to start the service. So when we start the service, then what happened? The server will start. So to start the FTP service, the service name, we should know the service name. Now we know what is the service name. Service name is vsftpd.service. So what we'll do here, we'll run the command systemctl start, or first we should check the status of vsftpd. You don't have to mention .service every time, but you can if you want. So first you will check the status, is it running or not running, and if it is not running, then we will do what? We will run systemctl start the service. Now every service has their own default status. Default status, that means whether the service is going to start after reboot or not, and that is what? Enable or disable. So if the service is disabled by default, then every time when your server restarts, the service will be disabled. And when the service will be disabled, that means what? When the service is not running, your server will not run. So if you want that your service will always run, then you have to make sure that the service will have a default enable option. So you can check, or you can just run the command systemctl enable the service name. So it will do what? It will make the service default enable. This will do what? It will start the service. will show the status. This will show status, and this will start. And this will do what? It will make service persistent. That means every time your server will boot, the service will start. And this is how the server will start. Now when you start the service without doing anything, when we start the service, without doing any changes, then it will start. Then it will start with the default settings. That means we have not made any changes, so the server is starting with the default settings. Default settings, that means whatever the default settings are. Every server has its own default settings. So it is starting with the default setting. Now what are the default settings for FTP server we have? Now what are the default settings? So now we'll check what are the default settings of this. What are the default settings we have FTP server we have in RHEL Linux. So what are these default settings first? So we will check what are the default settings. So the first setting we will see here in server. So first we will start the server and then we'll see what are the default settings we have in the server. Okay, so first I will do what? systemctl status of VSFTPD service. So it is loaded, but it is right now it is inactive. It is not running. So I will do what? And also the default status is here. It is saying disabled. So when you start the service, it will still remain default disabled. So when your system reboots, then again it will not start because the default is disabled. So first I will start the service by running the command start systemctl vsftpd dot service, and now it is started. So when I check status, now it is starting. It is started without any error. If you see any error, it will display here, and but still it is saying it is disabled. And the disable means when I reboot my system, it will go back to disable state. It will inactive. So I will run system ctl enable and then the service name. So when I run this, what it do here, it create the link, soft link under the directory here, under the etc directory, and from this main directory where all the service and target units are there. So from user lib, it is creating the link under systemd under etc. So now if we check the status, now it is running and it will also run after reboot because now it is enabled. So our server is started and its server is running, and now we'll see what are the defaults of this server and how we can access the server. So for accessing the server, I'll go to the client machine first. And from here, I will access the server. Now for accessing the FTP server from the client, we have two options. We can access it from the browser directly. So you'll go to the browser. We have Firefox here, default browser. And the other option is that you can access it from command line also. So first we'll see how we can access it from the browser. So I have opened the Firefox browser here. So this is our browser, and what I will do here, I will give IP address of or name of the other server, of the FTP server. Now name, if we have already configured the DNS server and the DNS server is working, then we can use the name. And if the DNS server is not there, then we can use the IP address. But first these servers must be connected. So first I will check whether I can ping the other server or not. This is the IP of the server, and we can get the reply. So that means we are connected. Now we can do here also, we can give our server IP. Now by default, when you try to access it from the browser, so browser by default uses HTTP protocol. So whatever IP address you will give on the browser, it will try to get it from the HTTP protocol. But we want to access it from FTP. Then what we will do, we will give command FTP in the URL. You will type FTP : / and then you will mention the name of the server or IP. So 192.168.1.12, the IP of that server. And when I press enter, I'll see this directory here. This directory is saying, it is showing there is a pub directory. Now pub directory means what? Where this pub directory was. So this pub directory was under the main database directory, default database directory. So if you see, it has created var, and under the var it has created FTP, and under the FTP it has created this pub directory. So when I am accessing it from the browser, I am seeing this pub directory. That means I am under this FTP directory. So here I can say that I am under the FTP directory, and here I can see this pub directory. Now that is why I said that is a default directory for database directory. That means when you are accessing your server from the browser, then you will go directly to this default database directory. If there is any file, then we can download it. So let's do this. I will create some file here into the FTP directory. So I will do what? Touch under the FTP directory. I will create some file, file 1, file 2, file 3. So I created these files under the FTP directory. Now I will refresh the browser, and we can see all these files also. So these files are showing here because it is created under FTP directory. So this is the FTP is the default database directory. Now we access it from the browser. Now the other way to access your server is from command line. So if you want to access it from command line, then what we need a command FTP. Now by default this command will also not be installed. So if I run the command is like FTP and the IP address of server. Now if I run the command, it says command not found. So by default what happened, this command is not installed in any Linux system, in any RHEL system. So if you want to run this, if you want to use this FTP from the command line, then you need this command first. And for installing the command, you need to install that command, and this is available. The package is for the command is what? FTP. So we will go to, and that is also not connected here, so I will connect the DVD here. Okay, now DVD is available. So under run media, I have this FTP package available. So we need this package to have this command on the client side. So we install this package first, FTP, and then what? We can run this command here to connect the server from remotely. Now I will access this from command line. So when I press enter, now it is saying what? Please provide the username. Now remember, when I access it from the browser, it did not ask me any user. It did not ask me any username or any password also. It gives me the access directly. So basically when you access it from the browser, so browser by default uses anonymous access. There is a username anonymous. Anonymous means nobody. Nobody, and it is enabled, and by default it can access without password. So when you access the FTP server from the browser, so it accesses it using the anonymous user. I can also use it from here. Anonymous. This is the username, and now it is asking the password. So anonymous does not have any password. So I will press enter directly, and you can see I've logged in successful. And when I see where I have logged in, pwd, so it is showing you that this is the root directory, but this is the FTP's root directory. FTP root directory is what? FTP under where. If I check ls command, then it is showing that I am having these files and this pub directory, and these are under what? FTP directory. So when you access it from the browser, it accesses it without user and password, because by default browser access it from the anonymous user. And whenever you access it from anonymous user, right, I am accessing from the command line, and again I am using anonymous user, so it goes into by default default database directory, which is where FTP. It will take you to that where FTP directory. Now if I want to download a file from the server, let's say I want to download this file 1 from the FTP server to this local machine. So I will use command mget, and then I will mention the file name which I want to download, and then when I press enter, it says, are you sure you want to get the file? I'll say yes. Now it is saying that entering the passive mode, then opening the binary mode, data connection for the file 1, and then file transfer. File transfer completed. Now file is downloaded here in this local machine, but where it goes? It has downloaded, but where, in which directory it goes? So it goes in this directory, because when I logged in, I give a command here. So when I logged in here, that means what? I was under root user's home directory. So wherever directory you are, like when you logged into the FTP server and you are in which directory, so whatever file you will download, it will go to that particular directory. So I was in root user's home directory, so the file which I transferred, I downloaded, it will go to that directory. We can check by opening another terminal. And ls root. This is the root user's home directory, and here we have a file. This file I have downloaded from FTP server. Now if I want to upload the file, so if I want to upload the file, so I will create one file here first. My file, okay, I will create this file moon.txt, and I want to upload this file on server. So for uploading the file, I will give command mput for download get, and for upload put mget mput. So I want to upload the file. Which file? I want to upload moon.txt. Now I'm not mentioning any path here. Why? Because right now I'm on the same directory. I'm on the same local directory. So I'm just mentioning mput and the file name. So when I press enter, it says, are you sure you want to upload? I say yes. Now what happened here? It is saying permission denied. It is saying permission denied. Now why it is saying permission denied? Because we logged in as an anonymous user. Always remember, when you logged in with anonymous user, that means you are logged in with no user. Anonymous means nobody. So this nobody can only download the files but cannot upload the files, because you don't want to allow anybody or nobody to upload anything on your server. It could be harmful for a server. So by default it is not allowed. Anonymous can only download but it cannot upload anything. So these are the I have exit from the server. It says goodbye, giving me the message, and I am exited. So this is what the default behavior of the server. And it says that anonymous can log in, it can download, but it cannot upload. So who can do both download and upload? So normal users or authenticated users, the users which provide username and password, proper username and password, they can only access the server. They can only download and upload both. So on server we have these 4 users here: user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4. So on the server we have these users. Now these users can log into the FTP server with using their username and password, and they are called authenticated users. So these authenticated users can do what? They can upload and download both. Now let's say I logged in, I want to log in as a user 1. So I will give again the command FTP and the name or IP of the server. Now it is asking again what is the username. So I will say user 1. Then what is the password? ABC. And it is logging successful. So here we can see it is logged in successful. And when you check, now here when the normal user logs in, not an anonymous user, then if you check pwd, that which directory right now user logged in of the server, then you will see it is logged in its own home directory. So normal users don't go to FTP database directory. It goes to its own home directory, and in that directory it has these files: change.txt, us1.txt. So this user 1 contains these files in his home directory. So he can download these files. Let's say I want to download the file. Download can be anonymous, can also be download. So I will try to download this us1.txt file from the server, and I'm logged in as a user 1. So whenever user logged in, it goes to his home directory. Are you sure? I say yes, and it is downloaded. You can check it into this local directory, and we can see the file is there. Now I will try to upload this file. Remember, this is user 1. So I will give command m put, and then the file name is this. Are you sure? Yes. And it can upload. Transfer completed. So where the file goes to server. So when I list here, I can see the file here, and file goes to server. So when you go to the server and when you check the user's home directory, user 1, you can see the file is there. So I have uploaded the file on server by user 1. So normal user can log in, and normal users is authenticated users. So these authenticated users can do download and upload both. And these authenticated users, when they logged in, they go to their home directory. They don't go to users default database directory of FTP. Exit. So these are the default things we have not changes, we have not done any changes. These are already there, and these are the default settings. So when we start the server, so it starts with the default settings, and default settings are like, if we access FTP server from the browser, it will access by the anonymous user. It will not ask any username, any password. By default, it uses the anonymous user. Then if we access FTP server from command line, then we can access by both anonymous and normal users by providing the username and password. That means when you try to access it from command line, it asks the username and password. And you can provide anonymous username, or also you can provide the normal username, and then you can provide the password. Now anonymous user is enabled in FTP server. Now why these anonymous users are enabled here? Why even we want any user to logged in without username and password? Anonymous means what? Nobody. So why we need it basically? And it can do what? Anonymous user logged into FTP default database directory. It will go to default database directory of FTP, and that is where FTP. And also anonymous user can download, but it cannot do upload. Normal users of FTP server can also log in. When normal user logged in, they go to their home directories, and normal users can do download and upload. Now this anonymous user, why we need this anonymous user? So basically we need anonymous user. So this anonymous user is there because if suppose you are an application developer and you want to create a site, and on that site you want to provide some files for your users, so you can create a link for this FTP servers and files. So anybody click on those files, it will download the file without authentication. So that users don't have to provide username and password. But remember, this FTP is what? Client server authentication, so it will use the username and password. But if you are creating the website where you are giving some files access to the users, and you don't want them to use username and password, then you can use this anonymous access. And that is the only reason we have this anonymous user enabled and available in FTP server. So these are the default things we have in FTP server. Till now we have not changed anything. Now if you want to change something, then you can change it by editing the configuration file. So first, suppose I just don't want anonymous user. Now if we want to change this default behavior, this default configuration, then we can do this by editing the main configuration file, and that is under etc vsftpd, and under that we have vsftpd.conf. So this is the file which we should edit if we want to do something. Let's do something like, I want to do what? First example, I want to disable anonymous access. So first I want to disable the anonymous access. So what I will do first, I will open the file. So I will do first open the configuration file which is under etc bsspte bsspte.conf. I'm doing what? I'm opening the file. Now when you open the file, you will see what are the default settings are there and you can change them. So I'll show you what is the default configuration we have in this default configuration file. So you open the configuration file here, you will see these settings. Now remember, those lines which is starting from hash, those are commented. Commented means they will not apply, they will not affect. The service of FTP, when the service runs and it reads the configuration file, it will not use these lines. These are comments. Now these lines which is not commented are used here, and this line says anonymous enable is equal to yes. This one says allow anonymous FTP. That means this is allow here. So that is why this is the line which is configured for the anonymous access. Like it is saying anonymous enable yes, and that is why the anonymous user is allowed. Now remember, I said that in some configuration files, when you comment something, then it will not use. But remember, every time when you comment something, like suppose I do this, I do comment the line. Now when I comment this line, that means it will not apply, and it will not apply, that means anonymous will not allow. That is not true. Remember, in configuration file, the lines which is commented, they will not apply. It is not like that. It will apply only in default things. So every server or every configuration has a default settings. So if the settings is not in this configuration file, then it will go for the default state. And the by default, the default state for the anonymous user is enabled. So even if I comment this line, that does not mean the anonymous user is disabled. It will still be enabled because the default setting says it is enabled. Most of the default settings are like this. When you comment, it will go no. If you comment, if you apply, then it will say yes, and if you comment it out, it will say no. But because here in FTP, you can see here what is it saying? Be aware. It is allowed by default if you comment this out. That means if we comment it, that does not mean that it will be disabled. In the default status, it is actually allowed. So if we want to disable anonymous, then commenting will not work. We have to purposely change this yes to no. Otherwise, if you comment this setting, it will still be working. So comments, these comments are commented, but still if there is a setting for that, so those settings are still working in default status. So if I want to disable the anonymous user, then I will change this anonymous enable to no. There are other settings like this local enable. This allows the local users to log in. Then it is saying writable yes. This is allowed the normal users to write. That means upload the file. Then we have here this setting local mask. Now local mask means what? 022. That means if any user upload file from their own machine to server, then the file's permission will be deducted by this umask, and the permission will be after detecting this umask, whatever file it will upload. Then you have this line here, it is saying it is also commented. Now the commenting means it is not used, it is actually used in default status. This line says anonymous upload yes. That means we are giving anonymous user access to upload files. So if we want anonymous user can upload the files, then what we can change this, we can uncomment this line and it says yes, but when it is commented it says no. That means the default status for this line is what? No. But when you want to enable it, when you want to allow the anonymous users to access upload file, then you can enable this line. Then you have option here to allow anonymous user writable access. Then you have option to directory messages. These are messages enabled, so when you log in, log out, you will see messages for that. These are logging settings is enabled. Connection port for FTP is 20. Yes, it is using 20 port for the connection. Database, there are some other settings like ch phone, and these are commented. These are log format settings which is enabled. Data connection timeout, session connection timeout is also there, which is not enabled, but we can enable it. But they are already default 600 and 120, so they are already set to these settings. Then we have other settings here down. This says listen no, and here it is saying listen yes. These settings saying what? This one is saying listen no, and here it is saying listen yes. It is saying that your machine is listening on IPv4 and IPv6. If you go to previous versions, you will see here yes and you will see here no. Now this is for IPv4 and this is for both IPv4 and 6. If you read here, it says when you listen directory is enabled, FTP runs on standalone mode and listen on IPv4 socket. That means it will listen only on IPv4. This directory cannot be used in conjunction with listen on IPv6. That means if you enable this, if you say yes here, then you have to say no here. And if you say yes here, then you have to say no here. Now when you say yes here, it do what? It listen on IPv4 only. If it will not listen on IPv6. But in this, it will listen on IPv4 and IPv6 both. This directory enable listening on IPv6 socket. By default, listening on the IPv6 any address. By default, it is listening on any address. That means it is accepting connection from anywhere with any IP, and that is how we can access it from the other server. Then we'll accept connection from both IPv6 and 4 clients, and it is not necessary to listen on both IPv4 and IPv6 socket. If you want that, then you must run 2 copies of FTP with 2 configuration files. So you can make 2 configuration files also for IPv6 and IPv4. Then you have these settings which is saying here that PALM service name is VSFTPD. PALM is what? Password authentication module, and this is what? User list enable is yes. That means it is reading the user list file. The user list file is under the same configuration directory. And TCP wrapper. TCP wrapper is also security like firewall. It is also a security feature which works like a firewall, and here it is enabled. That means it is secure by TCP wrapper also. That means if you configure TCP wrapper, then it will affect the VSFTPD service also. And if you don't want to affect by the TCP wrapper, then you can remove it. You can say no here. So these are the default settings. We have not changed anything. We have just changed this and we have disabled the anonymous user. And then what? I will save it. And now because I have changed something in the configuration file, so I will do what? I will restart the service. So after restarting the service, the configuration is fixed. Now when you check from the client, Remember when I tried to access it from the browser, what happened? It was accessing from the anonymous user. It was not asking any username and password. So when I accessed it previously, it was accessed by the FTP anonymous user. Now this time when I access it again, anonymous user is disabled here. Now it will not allow anonymous user. It will say what? It will ask username and password. Now it is asking username and password for logging on the browser. So I will use user1 password ABC. And you can see it is logged in as a user1, and this is the files which is under user1's home directory. So now when I try to access it from the browser, it accessed with the username. It will not access by the anonymous. If I tried it from the command line also, if I try anonymous from here, and when I say enter password, it will say permission deny because it is not allowing. So we disable the anonymous user. Now you say it is saying login failed, login incorrect, because we have disabled the anonymous user. So you can't be you are not able to log in from the browser. You try to log in, it will ask username and password, and from command line it is directly say login incorrect. So we have disabled it. Now if you want to enable it, then you can just enable it from the configuration file. Change the line yes, and then change it to allow the user again. And if you want to allow the user again, then I will just go back to the configuration and I will say yes here. Save the configuration, restart the service, and done. And now when I access it from anonymous user, and it is logging successful.